doesn't work if you...
if I forget to turn on the mic.
Yep.
I can't do pre-ads, like, you know, yeah. I just wanted to have a cool little thing to draw people in, and then I forgot to check that the mic was hot. It's hot now. Hi everybody, welcome back to Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I'm your host Caleb, and I got us both on that one. Let's just get the soda cracking out of the way, because we both got some soda.
Sorry audience, don't know if you like that sound or not, but either way, you've been subjected to it.
But yeah, so this is our Star Wars podcast where we talk Star Wars as well as other things that we feel like, because we don't have another podcast yet.
Yep.
We don't have a general podcast, so we just talk about whatever on here. Whatever we feel like.
Yep.
But this week, we don't have a lot of time, actually, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of just dive into today's topics. As we promised last week, it's going to kind of be a double feature. Only because Star Wars Hunters came out. And Seth has been playing it. I've been playing it. I'm doing more than Seth, I think.
Yeah.
Although he's playing a lot. He's told me he's put some hours in. It's just
a little bit of time.
It's just we haven't crossed paths. We haven't been able to play with each other yet.
Yeah.
I've been playing ranked. He has not. I am at Erodium 3, which is like, I don't know what that is compared to like gold, and okay, apparently that is like the bronze of their like ranking, because it's Erodium, Beskar, and Kyber as their like top 3. But then there's like their slightly under sections, which are like Chromium and Bronzium.
Yeah, I didn't bother a lot with ranked.
I mean, ranked is just you play, and then if you're good, you go higher up. If you win, you move up. If you lose, you go down. But it's not an immediate you go down in rank. There's like a point system attached to it where like you get points for doing good, and then you lose points if you lose. If you're doing objectives, you get a few more points. If you're not doing objectives, you don't get those points. And so I've been doing that, and plus there's events going on, and in fact there's a new event that apparently just dropped. Let me see what's up with that. Oh yeah, they brought matchup mix-up back.
Okay.
So, which I think that's the event that we both like more than the last one that they just had. Because I didn't mind okay, so let's just jump into it. We're going to talk about Hunters for a bit first, I guess, which makes sense, because really it's not the main topic. This is more of just our quick thoughts on the game and how we're enjoying it or not enjoying it. I think at the end of the day, we both say we like it. Yeah. I like it a lot. I think it's... I could never really get into hero shooters, despite having a lot of friends who like them, like Overwatch. And I've tried. But I just can't, I can't get good, as they say. But I'm doing good at this. But I'm also not picking a main. That's the part where, Britt got on to me, because I was like, yeah, I'm unlocking all these characters, and she's like, that's not the point of those type of games. I'm like, I know, but I haven't found my main yet, so I'm just gonna unlock everybody until I do. And so, I know the point isn't to collect them all, but I'm gonna collect them all. But that's also my completionist mentality put in there as well. There is definitely, I will say on the downsides, there is obviously a very heavy, this is a free-to-play game. And so they definitely try to... They do the mobile game thing of, here's a bunch of things to buy. Yep. And I will say that's the one downside, too.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who can't control your spending...
Maybe don't.
Maybe don't play this game. If you're somebody who has an addictive personality when it comes to buying things, I don't want you to play this. Just because
For your own economic safety.
Yeah. There is some free items, right now, I'm looking right now in the shop. They just reset the shop. And there's some stuff that you can get with the in-game credits. Because at first you're like, why is there the credits? Because you can't buy anything really with them.
Yep.
And then you look in the shop and there's 1 or 2 items generally. Right now there's 3. When I'm looking.
Hmm.
Oh, 4. There's a new outfit for a couple. There's a new outfit, and then there's a new pose for Amara. But so who all have you unlocked so far?
I've unlocked Amara, but you start with Amara.
Yeah.
I've got Graz, I've got Sentinel, I've got Zayna, Skora, and Diago.
Are you liking Diago like I predicted?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna be for real. Diago does look like a character I would make in play.
He's because he's a Miraluka, so he's blind. Well, he's blind, but he's not, because Miraluka have that strange connection to the Force where they can still see, and so he's a Miraluka sniper, but with like a with a scatter shot essentially.
Yep. Bro showed up with a slug thrower.
Yeah, slug thrower, scatter shot, sniper.
He showed up to this arena with a regular gun.
I will say though, he's pretty good, especially if you for the Death Star map, which has that like high point that you can go to in the middle. You know which one I'm talking about, where it's the wreckage, the Death Star. Like you're on the Death Star, but it's wreckage, and there's like a middle point. It's used a lot for the capture point one, I've noticed.
Yeah,
and so there's like, but then there's that high point that you can get up to, with the hole that drops you right down into the center. If you get to that high point as Diago, it's great because you can throw a mine on one side so that way nobody can sneak up to you behind, and then you just start sniping on the other side.
Yeah. Diago's abilities are the mine that like gets people to fuck away.
Yeah, because the way it's explained is he's best as a ranged character. You don't want him getting caught up in close combat, and so that's why the mines exist. Started like. You gotta like, okay, get the fuck away from me.
Yep.
But it's also good as a like, because you can toss as many of those as you refresh. So if you just toss a new one every few seconds, I think they do disappear when you toss a new one, but still, just toss a new one every few seconds to avoid people sneaking up on you if you've got a sniping spot.
His ultimate is like, what about explosive rounds though?
Yeah, and then so you've got Diago, Graz, Sentinel, Imara, Skora, Zayna.
Yep.
Is that it?
I also
Utuni.
Oh,
I don't got Utuni yet.
I do not have.
I have played as him though, because you can see on mine I've got him at level 6, or them I should say, because it's 2 of them, because it's literally 2 Jawas in a trench coat.
Yep.
It's so good. Utuni's fun.
I don't have Char, Reeve, or Jedi, or Erental because I'm not buying him.
Yeah, you got to get the
guy at the bottom.
Slingshot.
Yeah.
You've got Sprocket though.
Sprocket.
That's the.
No, I do not have Sprocket.
That's the one who rides like the chair and has like the little. He's got the little probe droids that he can send at you. Sprocket's actually pretty cool too. I haven't played as him yet, but it is fun playing against him because it's a very interesting character design. Slingshot's fun because that's a droidic. It's a Ugnaught in a droidica. It's using a droidica as its like ship, like as a little speeder essentially to get around zip around the place and fire. Erental is the Mandalorian. You got to get the season pass to play as him, or you do the events because then you can randomly get them still. But Erental's fun. Not quite my jam. I haven't quite figured out how to bounce. Like he's very much a damage. So he's a damage class, but he's also you got to be fast because he's close range, but you got to be zipping. Because like his main thing is like getting up close using the flamethrower, and then he's also got like his little blaster, his dual blasters, and then he's got air assault, which lets him fly over and land, similar to Reeve's ability where she does the force jump land deal. And then his ultimate is like a jetpack boost where he flies around and starts flamethrowing everything around him. But you gotta you still have to aim that. So
I think Graz's ultimate is a little bit lackluster, but
Yeah, his is just the...
His
is the boulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just throws a boulder. But I get it. It's a boulder that
like will bounce around.
It bounces around, and so it can potentially lock in on somebody. Yeah. So you have a chance of taking multiple people out if you do it well. But also, it doesn't always...
Depending on where you are on the map, it may not work out.
Yeah, it may not work out.
Sentinels is not bad at all, considering it summons 2 more people.
Yeah, you get 2 more stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So...
And now there's 3 of them.
But they don't stay there that long, even if they don't take a lot of damage. Like, even if you don't kill them, they're not there for the longest time. So it's balanced out still. Yeah. Like, it's not overpowered, but it feels like it for...
Except for when you're holding a point on capture.
Yeah.
It is impossible to get past that motherfucker.
Even when you are also Sentinel.
Yeah.
It's like... That's the... I feel like Sentinel versus Sentinel is always the hardest fight. Because you both walk up to each other, you start shooting at each other, they'll put up their shield, you'll put up your shield.
Yep. You might be able to, like, if you get close enough, smack them down.
Yeah.
And then you get smacked down. And then, assuming you're both, neither of you hasn't been sideswiped by another party member, then you have 3 guys, so there's 6 stormtroopers.
And then there's also, like, the actual smackdown is because the smacking doesn't smack you down, it's the overshot. Because you've got the overshot where so Sentinel has this overshot where if you select it, it takes a minute, but then you got if as long as you are hitting somebody, it will knock them out and onto the ground. Because there's certain abilities that pretty much everybody has that will not, or most people have rather, I should say,
that will like shove you back
and knock you to the ground, and then you have to like tap a button to get up quickly, or just wait it out.
Yeah.
If you do wait it out, you're likely dead. Just because usually if they do that ability on you, that's when like the rest of the other person's team shows up to beat you down at the same time. Yeah. Usually on the Switch, it's like tapping Y, so I'm like, why? I'm just yelling, "Why? Let me up!" I've got Aaron Tall, obviously. Since we talked about it, I'm level 5 with him. I got Diago, Amara, because, like you said, you start with Amara. Seems though it's random, like which ones you'll get after Amara, though. It seems like that's randomized. Then I've got Jedi, Skora, Zaina, Char, Graz, and Sentinel. So I'm really only missing Reeve, Utuni, Sprocket, and Slingshot. It sounds like we're both really only missing 4. Well, you're missing 5 with Aaron, but I'm taking Aaron out of the equation for you. But I'm currently level 22 on my actual player level. Level 25 on the pass. And then my highest level character is Amara at 16. With my lowest at 4, which is Diago, Zaina, and Char. and Skora. I just got Aaron to 5, so.
I'm trying to look at the one where, like, team lost real bad.
Yeah, because you can look at, I mean, you took screenshots, but you can still pull up your stats and see your score and be like, oh, what's my, like, it goes over your history of wins and losses and your match history, so, like, I won my last 2 games, but lost a casual game. I think it was the event. And so, yeah, I lost the event one. Yeah, it was a control, so it was the event from yesterday. But I'm winning a lot of my ranked, so that's good, so I'm moving up. 29. Amara Vex has won 29 games. I've won 29 games as her. 9 is Sentinel, 6 is Jedi, 6 is Utuni, 5 is Graz, 3 is Reeve, 2 is Diago, 2 is Skora, 1 is Aaron Tall, 1 is Char, 1 is Slingshot, 1 is Zaina, and I haven't played as Sprocket, so.
So, for me, the worst game that I had ended up with me, I think, I'm not sure what it was, because it doesn't tell me what type of game it was.
Mm-hmm.
However, on my bad day, coming in with a score of 205, 1 elimination, 8 deaths, and 5 assists.
Yeah. Let's see. How did I do on my last game? I think
Why can't... Maybe I should just pull up shit.
Yeah, because if you go to your like little icon right here, like look at mine. If you go to your icon, once you're...
I hope this doesn't blast music.
Yeah, you go ahead and just mute it. I've got mine muted too. It does not show me my... I don't think it showed my score for that. Oh, you can choose to hide that from people. I don't care if people see my match history.
Alright.
It does not show scores when you look at the match histories overall. It just shows if you won or lost and how much fame you got. But if you click on your little icon...
That one?
Mm-hmm. You can go to your match history. Also, don't forget to claim your dailies. Oh.
Lost a lot.
You got some wins in there, though. It's about 50... Well, it's about 50-50.
Yeah.
I think if you click overview, let me see if it shows a percentage. It doesn't show a percentage, but it does show how many wins and how many...
Okay, cool. I've played 51 games. I've won 34 times.
Okay, that's actually pretty good. That's over 50%.
Damage done, 103,436.
So let's see. Math time.
I've apparently defeated 246 hunters. I've healed people, either myself or others, for 15,481 points. And in terms of damage taken, I've taken 86,170.
So you have won 67% of your games. So that's pretty good. It's better than me. But I've also have played...
You've also played a little
I
bit
played
more.
4 times more of the games than you. I have played 129 games. Like I said, 4 times more than you. And I've only won 66 of them. So I've won over 50% of mine as well. At a 51%, if we were to put a more exact number on it. 51.16.
Also, I can look at the win rate I have with characters. It will drop down.
Oh, it shows the win rate with characters, not just games won. Okay. Utuni actually has my highest win rate with the 66.7.
I've only played as him once, and I won that game, so...
So you got 100%, baby. Can't lose if you don't play. Oh, man. Yeah, this is fun, though. So I will say, overall, if you want a quick game to drop into, because it's also a quick game. It takes no more than really, at most, it's taken me 2 minutes to get into a game. And then once you're in a game, they top out at 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's usually what the timer is. Like, they put, like... Most of the time, the game will not run that long, I will also say, but they do have, like, a 3-minute timer for in case if a game does run long. And then, unless it's a tie, it will be like, okay, game's done.
Yep.
And then whoever has the most points wins. Says I've had Hutball matches, but I can swear to God I have not played Hutball yet. It says I have 4 minutes in Hutball. I do not have
From
any...
when?
From when? There has not been Hutball yet. I am actually mad there hasn't been
We've
Hutball
had,
yet.
Squad Brawl a lot.
Yeah.
And Capture Point and Control.
And then I've also had the Trophy, the droid one, where it's basically similar to Control, except there's an actual item. It's a little droid called Trophy, TROF-EE, and it's basically a hold them as long as you can, and then it's kind of like a capture the flag situation, except it's holding them, not trying to bring it anywhere, and you're just holding it for points. And then the longer you hold it, the more points your team gets. But then once either you get knocked out, killed, or you're moving too fast, you drop them, because you can't. there's no run button, but certain abilities do make your characters move faster, depending on the character you're playing.
Yeah.
So
Like Skora, Zayna. Skora has a little dash that'll heal her a little bit.
Zayna can
Zayna does like a little combat roll.
Yeah.
And you can use that to get into cover.
Graz also has his like dash to, which is a knockdown ability for other people, but it's like him.
But you can also use it for movement.
Yeah, if you're trying to get somewhere fast, you can dash it. Yeah, and so that's.
And then you've got Vex and Diago being like, anyhow, grappling hook,
which is their fast movement, which is how they drop trophy if you're the one holding trophy as them. But yeah, so like the games are fast. If you like the Overwatch style games, you'll probably like this. I'll say, like, they don't aggressively push the buying things. Like, it's very much as mobile as it gets. Though when you start the game, there are going to be a couple ads that pop up, even on the Switch version. But you can close them. It's just like any other mobile game, where when you open a mobile game, they try to advertise a couple things to you.
Yep.
Thankfully, there's no like ads for other games.
Yeah.
Like that would be my biggest pet peeve on mobile games.
That'd be a bit egregious.
Like if they were doing that, I would just say nah, it's not worth it. But they don't. It's a battle pass system, really, is what they're hoping their money's probably going to come from. I think they're probably expecting most people to just buy the battle passes. So it's on the Fortnite, Apex scale of an Overwatch scale of trying to monetize. It's about as egregious as that. So if you're used to those type of games, then you're gonna probably find the outfit you like, the guns you like, and the victory poses you like, and call it a day. If you're not like addicted to that monetization scheme. Or maybe a new hero, like with Aaron Tall, you get the battle pass for the sake of getting Aaron Tall, right? That's probably the most that I expect them, and that's probably the most they're expecting to make, is from people like that. And then probably a few whales that will buy every little thing. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, it's about as egregious as those type of games, and so I find it fun. It's two things I like: video games and Star Wars, and it's an arena shooter that I normally don't play, but like I have friends that do play those games, and now I can be like, hey, this one's free, and I can play with you, and I'll actually have fun, and it's quick. So if you don't like it, we can play a couple rounds, and then if you don't like it, we can move on. So it's a quick sell to people. Yeah. It's like, if you don't like it, then
don't buy it.
And it's free.
It's free. You don't have to do it.
There's no loss. Like, you play around with me, and that's lasted like 3 minutes. You found out you didn't like it. Okay, no loss of real time. So maybe we should get like, do Tori and Kinsey still play Overwatch?
I think so. Yeah.
Let's get them to play. One of them's got a Switch, I think. No.
Haley has a Switch.
Well, they got phones.
Yeah, they have phones.
We'll get him to play Star Wars Hunters with us.
Tried to get Andrew to do it.
I feel like Drew would love this.
I think he downloaded the app, but I just never was like...
You never just sat down and got him to play. Yeah, I think he'd have fun, so... I wish there was more event type stuff where it's like... We're getting events, but I mean like stuff where like... I kind of like the fact, like in the book, you know, where it's like, oh, they are playing, like, it's wrestling. It's essentially wrestling. It's Star Wars wrestling, but with guns and lightsabers, where they are playing parts and then beating each other up for audiences. And then at the end of the day, they go drinking together. And
it's crazy how they turn Sentinel into a face from a heel. That's a dumb joke.
It's pretty easy to make him the heel, though, when he's dressed up the way he is. Yeah. That'd be kind of... Honestly, that's actually wild in-universe. Because that would be like the real-world version of having somebody dress up like that certain 1930s...
Yep. That's not something that happens in the book, by the way.
No.
The book is a lot more focused
On Reeve.
on Reeve, and it's a good book.
But no, and we have
I think
we have an episode, so if they want to hear our full thoughts on the book, they can.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that
It sold the game to you.
Yeah.
Because at first you were like, I'm not sure, and then you read the book and you were like, okay, now we need this game.
Yep.
And then we waited another year.
Also, back to wraps are a cool concept.
But yeah, no, like, it's kind of weird, though, that in universe, Sentinel is dressed the way he is. Because, like I said, that would be like if wrestlers on the WWE, like if there was a guy that dressed up like a 1930s or 40s Germany soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be kind of weird.
Yep.
But,
hey,
Star Wars, you seem to get away with that a lot. Because
they're in the Outer Rim, as far away as they can be.
It's also weird. I mean, I guess you can make the same argument with Reeve being dressed as a Sith. Yeah.
They are in Hutt space, so, you know.
It's a little,
who wants to argue with the Hutts? No one with a common amount of sense.
But
I mean, you could. It's not good for your health in the long run.
It's a fun game. I hope in future updates, because this is a game that does seem like it's got legs in terms of updates. I want more maps, because I like the maps that we've got, but I'm starting to. I mean, it hasn't been a full season yet, so I'm not going to complain too. It's only been a couple weeks, like barely a couple weeks, so I'm not going to complain too much yet about being tired of the same maps. But once we hit like after the first season ends, I would hope that we get some new maps. I don't really need new characters. We're fine at the moment. Even although I expect most battle passes are just going to have more characters.
Yeah,
we'll see what they do with future battle passes. I don't know. I don't know if they could keep doing that though. You can't really keep adding a new hero every battle pass. I mean, I could see new skins maybe as. So, like, maybe, like, elite skins for certain characters. But kind of like how Overwatch does it for Overwatch 2. Because Overwatch 2 does the Battle Pass system. And I think they've added, like, one new hero, really, since Overwatch 2 came out. And then the rest have been, like, new skins that are just, like, special skins that are only on the Battle Pass. So, that's probably what they'll do. After this season, I think in the case of Aaron, this is like the exception, not the rule. I also think eventually Aaron will be off a battle pass. Like, I think you can get I think you'll be able to get basic Aaron eventually. I just don't think you'll get him for a while without having the pass. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or buying like a pack, because you can buy like just packs off the store. Where you just get the hero unlocked immediately. So, like, if there's a specific hero you want to play, like, you want to play as Utuni, because let's be honest, they're fun. It's just two Jawas stacked on top of each other. Also, I think that's the thing that sold me on this game when it first got announced was Utuni. Yet I've barely played Utuni, but I've played him a little bit. But yeah, if you want to play this game and there's just a specific hero you want. It's like $10 to unlock your to unlock a hero, and then there you go. That's how much the battle pass was, anyways. The battle pass was like $10, and then I wouldn't imagine paying for a hero would cost more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you just want to straight up just go unlock, and then if you get the battle pass, you also get the real world currency, the gems.
Yeah.
Because you can unlock them as you level up the battle pass. You don't get a lot. Like, I've only got like 640 right now.
Yeah.
But like, that's still like, hey, I've only put $10 into this game, and I think I've got my money's worth, honestly.
I've got my money's worth on account of putting nothing into this game.
Yeah,
it's a good game. There are some times, like, I think with the mobile where like I will have been walking around and it'll put me a few feet back depending on how the connection is going.
Yeah. So.
But that's kind of expected.
I mean, the Switch is the same way. I mean, because there's it's an online game.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a little bit of lag. There's going to be a little bit of latency, and so depending on your internet connection,
and how things are.
Yeah, and also the ping of the other people you're playing with. That's gonna knock some things, but that's just internet. That's just online gaming in general. But yeah.
In conclusion, good game for free.
Yeah, and good game for $10 even. Honestly, I think a mobile game is like this type of game is good because you can set how much you're gonna pay for it and be like, do you like this game enough to put money into it? Yeah. If not, then hey, don't put money into it. If you do, put money into it. So far, I think that it was worth putting money into, and I've enjoyed the money I put into it. You are less so inclined to put money into it, and so, but you have also still found a good time in it. And I think if you can find a good time in a game like this without putting money into it, that shows that it still works as the game is intended. Because if it was like, oh, this sucks unless you put money into it, then that's not good. But if you can still have fun without putting the money into it, then yeah. So let's go on to our next main subject. We're gonna talk Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
We're on episode 2. I did not entirely rewatch. I did watch some. Like I flipped through like some of the scenes that I wasn't as familiar with, or it's been because I'd watched Attack the Clones not too long ago. I watched it Star Wars Day, so like it wasn't too long ago I've rewatched this movie, but I still wanted a little bit fresh memory on some stuff. So what anything in particular you wanted like what?
I got a couple of thoughts.
You got some gripes, some funny moments that you forgot about, some
yeah, there's a few of them. First off, my assumptions of Mace Windu's character, and we've gone over this a couple of times. I stopped and started looking at the scenes, like what he does in them objectively, and thinking about it, and like actually stopping and looking at it.
Yeah.
And trying to put my own thoughts.
Like trying to put yourself in Mace's shoes, essentially.
No, just like observing and actually looking at what he's saying and doing.
Okay.
He apparently actually holds Anakin in a lot higher regard than I thought. He really does.
Okay, that is a conversation that so many of our mutuals have had, which is that people think that Mace doesn't respect Anakin. But it's actually the opposite.
He respects him a lot.
It's the dad that sees your potential and sees you wasting it.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh wait. He's just pissed off that Anakin doesn't want to do things by the book all the time.
Yeah. He's just like, Anakin, I know what you can do. I know you're better. It's that when you come home with a B and you're usually an A+ student and your parents are like, I know you can do better. And it's like, but I got a B still. And it's like, yeah, but I know you can do better.
I was also thinking about like other things where it's like, okay, we know Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda have to make it out of this.
Yep.
Anybody else in this movie is fair game, apart from Palpatine.
Well, Padme also has to make it out because Luke and Leia have to be born.
Yeah, but I was thinking about, like, at the time, you would probably guess that she's their mom.
Yeah.
But that's not a guarantee.
Yeah, like, as you're watching the movie, you come to the conclusion that that's where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the final act of the film, you have to assume she makes it out.
Yeah.
Because, like, even when she falls off the LAAT, you have to be like, oh, she survives that because we need to have the original trilogy.
Yeah. And then I'm like, all right. So back in the day, that would mean that there's a bunch of these characters that could just die. And you would have no knowing of that for certain.
Yeah, and Palpatine was up in the air, like, Senator Palpatine was up in the air, because a lot of people didn't even understand whether or not he was the Emperor yet. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of people were like, well, maybe, because it looks like the same, like, it's the same actor.
I'm like, yeah, you might suspect, but you wouldn't know for sure.
Yeah, because, the other thing is, Ian McDiarmid wasn't the Emperor until Episode 6. Because Episode 5 was that stupid monkey-dog amalgamation when it first came out. Right? That stupid little design that I hate, that I'm glad the special edition exists for. where they put Ian McDermott into that scene where Vader gets on the phone call with him in Episode 5.
It's a Skype call.
Yeah, he has a Skype call about Skywalker.
Yep.
We've got to kill we got to kill or turn the Skywalker.
And so, there's that. Now, another.
So you were trying to put yourself into the this is my first viewing kind of seat.
Another thing that caught me off guard. It's the amount of hatred that Boba looks at Obi-Wan with when he first shows up. Like, he's pissed that he's there.
Boba be given so much shade.
Yeah.
He's just like,
who the fuck is this guy?
Who the fuck are you asking my dad questions?
Basically, yeah. He stares him down.
All he's doing is going like, hey, what part of the galaxy you been to? You been to Coruscant recently?
No, it's before that. It's when Boba
as soon as he opens the door,
he sees Obi-Wan and is like...
But no, I'm just saying, like, Obi-Wan's being nice. Like, he's questioning him, and he has his suspicions that it is Jango, but he's not, like, calling him out in the room. He's not like, oh, you're the bounty hunter. Now, I think the closest he gets to calling him out is going, have you been to Coruscant recently? Like, that's him going, I know it's you, motherfucker.
Hey, I love that scene, because it's very much like Jango is giving not answers, but still answering the questions, where he's like, oh, you've been to Coruscant recently? Possibly.
You know a guy named Sifo Dyas? Nah, I was hired by a guy named Tyrannus. Which I think is one of the only times...
He just tells him the truth.
He does, because that's... Okay, like, he straight up says, yeah, I work for a... He basically says, I work for a Sith, without saying he works for a Sith. Because that's a Sith name. Because that's Dooku's Sith name.
I'm just a simple man trying to make his way in the universe.
In the galaxy.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's a bounty hunter answer.
Like, he's not lying. He's just omitting certain facts because Obi-Wan hasn't asked the right questions.
Yep. Like, if he just asked him directly, I feel like Jango would tell him, but he's also like...
Or he would half answer it, like with the maybe with Coruscant. Like, he didn't tell him the truth on that one. He was very much like, possibly. It's like... Okay, that's some Among Us, like, we're gonna throw you out the airlock answer.
Another thing, Anakin is a dumb, horny teenager in this movie.
He's 19.
He's a dumb, horny teenager in this movie.
Well, I was agreeing, that's why I was like, he's 19. Because this is 10 years after Episode 1, so he's 19 now. Padme is 24, which also is wild that people are like try to call out like the age gap between them. It's not that wild. It's only 5 years, y'all. Calm the fuck down. And in fact, she is like for people that complain that she's older and like and the whole like because people try to say oh she's like wildly older than him in Episode 1. No, she's not. She's 14. She is also a child. And also, she doesn't think of Anakin that way in Episode 1. Like, Anakin has, like, it's more, in Episode 1, it's more like a cute little, it's more like a crush. It's a very middle school crush that Anakin has on her. And it has developed over the years, despite them having no contact with each other for 10 years. Which also kind of shows the toxic nature of Anakin in this film. Because it's, like, off the bat, we know that Anakin has fallen in love not with the person, but with the idea.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the issue with the relationship at the start of the film. Because it's Anakin putting Padme on a pedestal based on their very minimum interaction, by the way, in Episode 1. Like, their interactions are not a lot in Episode... Like, it's really not. Like, you could probably cut it down to maybe 20 minutes.
They have one interaction, I think.
Well, truly, as like one-on-one, yeah. Are you talking about on the ship?
Yes.
Yeah, when he gives her the...
Yes.
Yeah. And that's like a 3-minute conversation, max.
I will say, in terms...
Now, to be fair, as somebody who has been 9, I have also had those type of crushes. I can put myself in Episode 1 Anakin shoes, right? I can be.
Didn't?
Yeah, who didn't? Who didn't have crushes on? Especially if like it was a cute girl who may have been a few
Yeah.
years older than you. Not wildly inappropriate years, but like the same gap, 9, 14. Like nothing wild. Although enough that the older person would be like,
This is concerning.
yeah, like the older person would be like, I'm not into you that way.
Yep.
Which is essentially Padme. Like Padme thinks, oh, he's cute, but not like that.
Yep.
So like, that's we can put ourselves in Anakin's shoes, and that makes him relatable in episode 1. Episode 2, if you relate to Anakin, it's a little more concerning.
I forgot just how frequent, like, I've seen the movie several times over the years, but since I was looking at this objectively, I was like, man, Anakin and Obi-Wan argue a lot in this movie.
Because it's weird, right? Because their relationship shifts and evolves throughout the series. Episode 1, it's very much older brother meeting a younger brother.
Yeah.
Because Qui-Gon definitely is like, oh, I got a new kid now, and Obi-Wan's like, but I don't like
Dad, why did you adopt this?
Yeah. So it's the older brother who doesn't want the younger brother. And then episode 2, it's a father-son relationship. They even call it out. Anakin's like, you're like a father to me. Why do I feel like you're going to be the death of me? Because he is. Because that was George. Because that was George being clever in the writing, going, "Ha ha, Anakin's gonna kill me later."
Yep. Another one that's also clever is when is Anakin's hand gonna get cut off?
Yes, because as you're watching, you're like, "Oh, when's this gonna like?"
Because you know it happens.
Yeah,
from,
you know it has to happen only because you know in episode 4 by Darth Vader he is a robot, and throughout episode 2. Specifically, starting with it's not really until you get to the droid factory where they really start leaning into, oh, he's gonna lose his hand maybe this film, and you're just like, because then they start doing the little chopping droid, where it's chopping this thing, and you're like, oh, and his hand gets caught in the little thing because he's holding his lightsaber.
I'm like, well, they have 3 movies before they get to 4, so that means they either would have had to do it in 2 like they do, or in 3.
Which is when the rest of his limbs go.
Yeah. So, them doing it in 2, it's like, they are like, oh, he's got to get his hand cut off sometime. Who knows when it's gonna be?
But it also makes sense that it has to be episode 2. Because of the principle of that George lives by when it comes to how he did the 2 trilogies of the history repeats.
Yeah.
It rhymes. Like poetry. Like that's his whole thing. And so episode 5 is when Luke loses his hand. So therefore episode 2 has to be when Anakin loses his.
Yep.
So it has to be to the bad guy. Because that's how it is in both films.
Yep.
Episode 5, Vader cuts off Luke's. Now Dooku does not try to get Anakin to join his side, but he does try to get Obi-Wan to join his side. Once again, like poetry, it rhymes.
And Obi-Wan goes, nah.
He's like, your dad would have joined me.
And he's like, no, he wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't, Gramps. You may be my grandpa, but I don't gotta dig. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Well, that's too damn bad.
Like, and continuing even further on.
Sorry, we are. The good news is this is the last episode that's going to be pre-recorded. Next week we go back to live. Yep. So we're kind of like in that, because we've done the pre-recording so early in the morning, and I think because we've been now doing this for almost 3 months, our brains are...
God. Oh, man. So, right.
Yeah.
Dooku fucks up Obi-Wan and Anakin, right?
Oh yeah. That fight, I love... Okay.
It's great.
So, episode 2 was my first one in theaters. Seeing that fight scene, and then seeing Yoda's. I love Yoda the Frog. I love Kermit the Yoda. I love seeing him bounce around, fighting. I love that shit. I still love that shit. I don't get... The people who don't like that have no joy in their life.
I enjoy watching Yoda fight because I imagine it to be like fighting a cat.
Well, because people are always like, why is he bouncing around? It's like, because it's fun. It's just fun. It's Star Wars. Just have fun. Enjoy things. Like, I don't entirely enjoy the romantic stuff in this film. Like, I'm mainly because I don't feel it's romantic. It's very... my problem is with Anakin and how toxic he is. It's less about the lines. Like, I've gotten over the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it used to be, oh, the lines are kind of cringy. But now I've grown out of that being the issue, and it's more of a, oh, Anakin is just toxic. That's the main reason I don't like it. But also, I think that's also the point. Like, the point is Anakin is toxic. So it's like, I think I'm getting what's supposed to be put down. So therefore, it's not bad. I just don't like it. Right? And so, because I know a lot of people that this is their favorite movie out of the franchise.
It's a good movie.
And it's a good movie. It's not my favorite. I put it lower for sure, but but also I don't hate any Star Wars film, so it's like it would still get. I already know my number for this. I mean,
all right,
but
good. Yeah, fight between Anakin, Obi-Wan, Dooku, and eventually Yoda. There is like 3 generations of shit we're gonna work out right here, right now.
In fact, we're probably getting 4 generations worth because, so we're getting. Because we get, like, the issues...
Technically 4.
Yeah, because we kind of have the issues between Dooku and the new generation, which is, like, the next generation after Dooku, which would be Qui-Gon. But he's not there. He's only there in spirit, right?
Yep.
Because, like, we have conversations about him, we talk about him, but he's not there to give his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So... And we don't really see that in the lightsaber combat, but we get, like, conversations about it. So it's there. And then we have the next generation after that, which is Obi-Wan's generation of Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that represented. We see that in the fight. And then we have Anakin's generation, the next generation, who are not knights yet. They are all Padawans still.
Yep.
And so we get that. Because we get 3... 1, 2... We technically get 4 fights in this one fight. We get the... Obi-Wan and Anakin working together at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
No, we get 3. Sorry, 3. Obi-Wan and Anakin working together at the same time. Obi-Wan knocked out, so Anakin by himself, mano-a-mano. Yeah. And then Yoda.
Anakin tries to rush Dooku and is immediately blasted away.
So I guess technically we do get 4, because when Anakin's blasted away, we get Obi-Wan versus Dooku for a little bit. So we get Obi-Wan versus Dooku. Then we get Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku for a little bit. For a very tiny bit. And then Obi-Wan gets knocked out. Anakin takes him one-on-one.
Dooku tries to kill Obi-Wan, like, immediately.
He was gonna cut him down. He's like, oh, you're not with me.
Only Anakin interferes. And then he's like, yes, I will, I don't know, fight you in the dark, I guess.
Yeah, and then
that doesn't work out.
And then we get our first example of live-action dual-wielding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the first time.
Yep. The first time we get dual-wielding, because we get Anakin doing the green and blue. Yep. Which, I like Anakin with the green lightsaber. I like him with the green lightsaber, honestly, more than the blue.
It doesn't last very long.
No, but I do like him with the green lightsaber, because we start with that during the start of the main battle with Geonosis, the arena fight. Yep. Which... As a kid, epic moment.
Fucking hype as hell.
Hype. Mace Windu comes in. You get this party's over line. Boom! Yep. We're in for the rest of that fight. Mm-hmm. You get Barriss Offee, Luminara, Kit Fisto.
So many people. Kit Fisto's so happy.
Kit Fisto's happy to be there.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm here. You get is Plo Koon in that fight?
I think so.
You get the dragon guy whose or the dinosaur guy whose last name is Man.
Yep. Oh man.
He gets shot so hard by Jango. God. If only that man survived.
Yeah. Oh, also important thing to note.
Or Coleman. Coleman. His name is Coleman. That's where the man is. Coleman Trebor. That's his name.
All right.
I knew there was man in there.
Important thing that I did not realize since I started looking at things objectively for this film, right? So, a little bit before Mace fights with Windu, right?
Yep.
He's a little...
Or you mean Mace fights with
Mace fights with Wind.
Django.
Mace fights with Django. I don't know why.
Mace fights himself.
Yeah, there's a crazy scene where he gets split into both light and dark sides of the Force. Sorry, that almost came out real bad.
No, but I immediately thought of something that happens in the Old Republic MMO. That happens with Revan.
Oh boy. Sorry, didn't mean to touch on that.
Yeah.
But it's that Django's little jetpack gets shot.
Yep.
So he can't use it to get away.
And that's hey, once again, it's like poetry, it rhymes. That happened to Boba in episode 6.
I'm like, for some reason, I don't know why Django didn't use his little grappling hook to yank the saber away from Windu. That seems like a much better...
I thought
He jumps towards his saber. I'm like, you are an experienced bounty hunter.
I'm trying to remember, did he use the thing earlier in that fight, or no?
He uses the flamethrower. He doesn't use the grappling hook earlier in that fight. Which means he still has it as an option, which would be a good thing to use against Jedi. I assume the reason he doesn't use the flamethrower again is because it's out of fuel.
Yeah.
He's been spamming that shit the whole
Yeah,
movie.
he spams that the whole arena fight.
You know what? Good choice against Jedi.
Oh, especially, well, also against the rhino creature, I know its name. It's been forever, though. Anyways.
I keep thinking it's called a mudhorn. I'm not sure.
No, it's not the mudhorn. Although similar creature.
I know that the cat is called a Nexu, and I think the big green motherfucker is called an Acklay.
Yeah, Reek. It's a Reek, is the rhino looking. Yeah, the Acklay is the crab creature. Yeah. With the most annoying screech ever. And also the most terrifying level of Battlefront 2 OG. You go on Felucia and you gotta kill 6 of those fuckers.
Oh, God. 6? Also, once again, rewatching things objectively, I think Obi-Wan is the most brutal fighter in all of Star Wars.
He's also the most efficient, though.
Yeah.
Because, once again, like poetry, it rhymes. He does the bar scene cut arm on Zam at the beginning of the film.
I don't think there is a scene or a show in which Obi-Wan does not brutally maul someone. No pun intended.
And in the case of, but it's also a smart move because it disarms your opponent. Because it's a lightsaber, it's going to cauterize immediately, unless you're episode 4. And then it's going to...
I mean that in even dealing with the Acklay, he fucks it up and kills it.
In the case of that, though, it's very much a self-defense. It's this creature was trained to kill. I have no choice, so I have to just put it out.
That's not what I'm talking about.
No,
I'm talking about characterization of Obi-Wan. Don't fight Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
He'll fuck you up.
Whereas the Nexu whereas the Reek, at least, it seems you can train that to be a rideable thing still.
Also, we get to see Force communication with animals for the first time.
In film, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Anakin does that with the Reek. Yep. The Nexu does not appreciate any attempt to be tamed, though. It has to get killed by the Reek.
The Nexu has to go.
Because I think the Reek kills it.
The Reek is what kills it. Padme fucks shit up, but it does not appreciate it.
No. And unfortunately, man, George Lucas was really trying to objectify Padme in this fight, man. George Lucas is like, let's put her in the tightest outfit, and then we're gonna start ripping it. It's like, George, what are you doing, man?
Also, the fact that Padme jumps from the top of the pillar onto the Reek, I'm like, ow.
Well, you know, one of our guests from last season, she came up with the science that means Padme has to have the strongest coochie, right?
Yeah.
Shaylo.
Fucking iron crotch Padme.
Yeah, Shaylo came up with that math. Yeah. Shay came up with that math, and she's the one that came up with that meme too, because she was the first one to point it out on TikTok, and then it kind of just took off from there once she did that.
Padme actually has a bronze score of 6.
Yeah, so because landing on that thing, because it is not a soft landing. I think even as a guy, I would not appreciate making that jump. Imagine you're just... You're laughing because you know I'm right.
Yeah. What? such a like. I know it'd be a little bit more time consuming if you chose to like
Climb down
to
and
climb down, but still.
at least do a swing down. Don't just jump straight from the top. Like, you got the change. You can swing down and like slow down your impact there.
Yeah.
Hell, your not boyfriend is there to slow down your impact. What the fuck? Why is he not there doing that? Why is he not using the force going, okay, let's slow this down. Let's not.
Oh, God. And then...
If Anakin made that jump, there would be no Luke and Leia.
Also, Anakin fucking loves to jump.
Well, to be fair, when episode 2 came out, I had one of the... So, I was collecting action... I had action figures as a kid, obviously, of Star Wars. And one of the ones that came out with Attack of the Clones was a Anakin and Obi-Wan one, and I think there was also a Dooku one. But I didn't have that one. I only had Anakin and Obi-Wan's. And they had magnet on the bottom, like on the bottom of their feet.
Mm-hmm.
And you put them on, like, it came with like just a jumping platform.
Yeah.
Where you had the platform and you press the button and they would jump.
Mm-hmm.
So you would put them on the magnet feet to set them up. So that way they would still stand like crouched like this, sort of. And so they would stand crouched on the mat. You press the button and they would do a flip. And that was episode 2 related specifically because it was like them in their episode 2 look, and so you hit the button and do the platform looks like where the last fight scene happens. So I don't think I have that toy anymore, but yeah, it was just them. I think one of the magnets started to fall out because it was like put in the boot and it was just like a circular magnet, and so like it eventually started to just be able to be pulled out by itself out of the foot, and so like it was like a little cylindrical one. I could put it right back in and just... but it would still sometimes pop out. But
first time we see a Jedi fight a Mandalorian on screen?
Yeah,
depending on your opinion of whether or not they qualify.
Jango's not a Mandalorian, remember? He was a foundling, but he's not a Mandalorian proper. Because he never finished his Mandalorian training, because, you got to finish it properly. Like, but yeah.
This is a case of... Well, technically he has all the abilities but he never finished.
He didn't finish the Mandalorian school.
Yep.
Same thing with, like, if Anakin had chose to leave the Jedi, he would have been a Jedi for a minute, but he's not a Jedi. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time we thought Jango was a Mandalorian, so yes, at the time of when it came out, yes, this would have been the first time we had, like, on-screen Mandalorian armor and all that stuff. This also sort of sets up the love for the Knights of the Old Republic era, because that's when we start to get like really heavy into the Mandalorian Wars. Because I forgot this until like watching our friends on the Podwans. Harith is playing Knights of the Republic completely for the first time.
Yeah,
and him and Chase are talking about it, and they talk about how this Knights of the Republic came out in between 2 and 3, so it kind of filled that gap, and so it's just like, oh. That explains why Mandalorians were so hype at this time, because like we just had Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones. We're starting to get more clones and stuff like that, where we get some of the Mandalorian culture through that, because because at the time we thought Jango was a Mandalorian true and proper.
Yeah. Which
in Legends he is. In canon that's been kind of fixed up a bit, because in Legends it even gets a little bit confusing for a minute. But it's mostly true in Legends, because you've got the Jango Fett Open Seasons comic where he's part of one of the civil wars that happens between Mandalorians. But anyways, it's kind of interesting seeing like from a context of, oh, this is the first, like, it's weird because you were trying to watch this from a perspective of first time watching, but this isn't my first time watching, but what if it was? And how would I have thought of things when it first came out? And it's just like, oh, like, I didn't think to watch it that way. And so, I mean, there's a lot of firsts in this. First time in the prequels we get lightning.
Yes.
We've had lightning before, because Palpatine uses it in 6.
We know powerful Sith can do it. But we haven't seen who's going to be the first to do it
in like, chronological
order.
Yeah. Any first force powers usage?
We already covered animals.
Yeah. So that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because episode 1 does the force speed, but it only does it once, and then
Yep.
we never see it
Never
again in any film or show. Never again.
Yep.
Force speed was there once.
I guess I'm trying to think. Oh, we see Yoda just being like, "No."
Oh
to
yeah,
lightning.
grabbing.
And I'm like, "Hey Yoda, that'd be a useful thing to teach people in the future."
To be fair, he's had hundreds of years to learn it.
I'm like, I don't know if that's because it's really hard to do.
I think
he's had that much time.
I
to
think
study
it's
it.
something that you have to be so in tune with the Force to do.
Yeah, because we know like you can use lightsabers to be like, nope.
Which we see that's a first time as well. That's a first in general. Seeing lightsabers stop it because they don't do it in Return of the Jedi.
No, they don't.
Return of the Jedi.
That's on account of how
Luke doesn't know, and also
he doesn't
throws,
know, and he throws his lightsaber away.
But Vader doesn't do it either. But his hand also was just cut off.
Yeah.
Hold on. But while I also don't, we also start to see the decline of use of Jar Jar in the prequels.
Yes.
Because this like Jar Jar's in like a scene, and so we get more of him a little bit in episode 3 as well, but it's still not a lot. Like Jar Jar does not. Jar Jar's put on the back burner.
It's very quick of like, all right, Jar Jar, you are in charge while I am away. But Padme.
Yeah, because like, and he's the one that helps create the clone army because he gives the emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor. But also this creates a conversation that we don't have until after the prequels are entirely out of how much did George plan to use Jar Jar in the prequels versus like what happened, because like episode 1, while my age, I didn't mind Jar Jar, although we talked about it during the episode 1 episode of the podcast, there are issues with stereotype stuff that Jar Jar does, but Jar Jar as a whole is not a problem, right? Jar Jar is, especially as a kid, like you're like, oh, this is the comedic relief character. Like this is the C-3PO and R2 of the prequels. Yeah. Until we get C-3PO and R2 in the in this film. But like this is our comedic relief. This is supposed to be
so many goddamn puns from 3PO.
And so like Jar Jar's that, and then episode 1 wasn't. It was bashed a lot. And of course if we're going to view this from the perspective of when this film came out, episode 2 was bashed a lot. More than episode 1. Because like there was enough okay hype for episode 1 that episode 2 made decent numbers. I think it still made less than episode 1, because that always happens. Like the first film in the Star Wars trilogy always makes the most, and then it goes down, and then it'll potentially go up or down depending on how people feel about coming back for the last one. Right? Yeah. Generally it goes down though. Like Return of the Jedi I think made less than Empire.
Yeah.
And then I know Revenge of the Sith I think made less than Attack. It might have made more because word of mouth. I can't remember exactly. But I think it made less. And then I know Rise of Skywalker made less than Last Jedi. So it's always kind of a downhill, maybe with an uphill curve at the end, depending. But that's just how film always is whenever you do a trilogy of things. And so, first film always gets about the most hype, unless it's a entirely new property where people aren't sure. And then, but yeah, so like, Attack of the Clones was disliked a lot when it came out. I remember watching it a lot on DVD when I got it afterwards. I remember I would put that sucker on, fall asleep, wake up to the main like, as a kid, did you ever like put a movie on DVD, fall asleep, and then it would like you would wake up in the middle of the night with the DVD music playing?
Yeah, there were a couple of times.
Attack of the Clones was my movie that happened with a lot. It would always, and Attack of the Clones, like the Star Wars DVDs are interesting because at the time, because they would have 2 different main menu options where like it would do a different background, and so like it would either be the chase scene, as the background.
Yep.
And so, or I forget what the other one was. I think it was the arena. It's been forever. But like, I know I would fall asleep to that sucker, and I know if it was I know I woke up in the middle of the night whenever it was the chase scene one, because I would always wake up to
Oh yeah. Speaking of
Dun,
like
dun, dun.
the chase scene,
Oh, the chase scene is so good.
it's great. Obi-Wan just fucking goes for it.
Jumps out that window, no hesitation.
Yeah, no hesitation.
And then he wonders where Anakin gets it from. We get the introduction of Obi-Wan's dislike of flying.
Yep. Specifically flying with Anakin.
But he also hates flying when he's on his own because he gets shot at.
Yep. Like Obi-Wan. Thinking about it, like even back in the one where Obi-Wan is introduced to
episode
Rail.
Oh, Master and
book.
Apprentice.
Yeah. He has to do some bullshit flying in that one too.
But I mean, for the films, this is our introduction
for
of
the
that.
films, that's our introduction to
Which
it.
is also weird because episode 4 does not have him hate flying.
Yeah.
So I think this was a weird like thing from like, and episode 1 didn't have it either. Episode 1 was like, no, Obi-Wan doesn't mind. Episode 2 is where we're just like, yeah, George is like, Obi-Wan hates flying. It's like, where did this come from? And then that issue never comes up again.
I think it's
Because episode 3 doesn't have that either.
I think it's just when he has to be in the same like.
But it's also when he's flying against, because he says he calls back to it during the chase with Jango, and he goes when when Boba's shooting at him, he's like, "This is why I hate flying."
How many car chases do you think Obi-Wan has been in? If this is a regular occurrence for him, no wonder.
But Master, like you said, Master and Apprentice does call back to that
Yeah.
as well. Like, we get the call back to that.
I think it's just that he's like, if I wasn't a Jedi, flying would be really enjoyable. But I am a Jedi, so every time something is going wrong or someone is shooting at me, this sucks.
Yeah. But no, I like the Zam Wessel chase.
Yeah.
I like the Jango chase. Obviously, the coolest sound effect in history is in that scene. Or rather, lack thereof of sound.
Yeah.
And then the loudest sound. I like that. I like the such a good, because you're like, as an audience member, you're like, is there supposed to be a sound? And then it goes off and you're like, holy sh.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same idea as with The Last Jedi when she does the hyperspace move and you get that lack of sound. Like, lack of sound can be just as powerful as sound. But that also has to be good sound design still.
Yeah.
Like, that is still a part of sound design, is choosing when there's no sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's still a part of sound design, which means they chose for that lack of sound. And I think it was a good, strong decision in both films, in this film and in 8. And so, I really like it. And then the Zam Wessel, I like. I remember as a kid being confused about her when Anakin's on the
about how like,
when she changes her face back to her regular face, but you're like, wait, why'd she do that? Because as a kid, I was confused that like that was her natural face.
Yeah.
Like, I thought. What threw me off as a kid was when they hit her, when Jango hits her with the poison dart, and they're like, poison dart, and it's like, they say that after we see that her body has gone, we Sonic Slimo. The fact that that's not one of the scenes I rewatched, and I know the exact line. But no, and then she, like, her face goes into her actual changeling thing. But as a kid, I didn't understand that. I thought, oh, whatever hit her did that.
Oh, so for you, this was a horrifying experience.
And I thought that her changing her face during the ride was, like, a, like, hint of what was to come. Like, it was, like, Anakin seeing what was gonna happen sort of deal.
Yeah.
But also, let us not forget, I was a child when this came out.
I think it didn't surprise me as much when I was a kid because we've gone over this. Kroll is one of the movies that I watched a lot growing up, so I kind of understood that, like, oh, sometimes antagonists will have like minions that will change what they look like. So that didn't surprise me.
I feel like it was weird though that the setup
like,
of her being a changeling was just that quick glimpse.
Yeah.
Like that, there should have been more of a. I feel like there should have been maybe a little. Kid me felt like there should have been more of a hint at what like was going on there. Now, adult me, who understands changelings and understands Star Wars and understands how changelings work in Star Wars, gets it now. Although I still think it was weird that she changed her face in the middle of that chase scene.
Yeah.
And then, like,
maybe
changed it immediately back.
I think it might be because she was under a bit of duress. Would you say having a lightsaber jammed through the cockpit to try to cut you up is a bit of duress?
Yes. It also might have been her trying to intimidate him.
Yeah.
Also, it gave away she's a changeling, by the way.
Yeah. Because if she hadn't done that, he wouldn't know.
Because Anakin's like, oh, by the way, I think she's a changeling when she goes to hide in the bar. Which also, once again, Kid Me did not understand. Like, I was still under the, like, confusion of, what is that? What?
What does that mean?
Because, like, Kid Me didn't watch a lot of, like, I didn't watch enough sci-fi and fantasy to understand that concept yet. Of, like, changeling just means that they can change their shape. I didn't quite get that yet. Yeah. So, adult me now, okay? I get what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, another good thing to see in episode 2, even though we know both Obi-Wan and Anakin are gonna be okay, right? Is how they, like, shoot the scene where she's sneaking up on them.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a toss-up. It's like, she gonna go to Anakin? She gonna go to Obi-Wan?
It's such a good, like, setup, too. Like, that is how you shoot, like, suspense, because it's the Alfred Hitchcock of, you know the bomb is under the table, but they don't know the bomb is under the table. And we are now watching where the bomb's gonna go off, and we are anticipating it. But we, as an audience, also don't know who is at the table. Now the question is, who's at the table where the bomb is? Yeah.
And then the bomb gets defused.
Yeah, at the last. But that's still all a part of, like, tension and like
which
suspense.
Is what I think makes that scene so damn good.
Honestly, I always viewed episode 2 as, like, 2 different films. But it's still one film. But, like, you've got your romance film, and then you've got your mystery film.
Yeah.
And they're kind of all wrapped up in the same film. So it's still it's both. It's a mystery romance film. Yeah. But it's also a suspense film.
If I was going to, like, back in the day, right?
Like, categorize
it, I would have, like, romantic thriller adventure.
Yeah. It's very much it's a suspense mystery film, so therefore it's a thriller. And so, like, you've got Obi-Wan looking into this mystery. Excuse me. Where people are dying. Yeah. Like, it's not just like, oh, somebody tried to kill. No, people have died.
People have died. Oh, yeah. The fucking most brutal thing ever to happen in a film, like, to watch as a child. It looks like the danger was over. Boom!
And there goes Corday.
Yep. Dead.
Who we got attached to for a little bit thanks to the Queen's trilogy.
Not anymore, though.
Yeah.
But, like, that's so brutal.
And then Panaka's like, she did her job, you must do yours. Yep. It's like, God, that's rough. Also, that's, like, the first scene in the film. Yeah. That's wild. Because even episode 1 didn't open that rough.
It does, though.
Not to the... Well, yeah, because, a kid dies.
Yeah, a kid dies in the explosion.
He's the pilot!
A ship explodes
He's the captain.
At the start of each of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, I guess you could argue every ship that exploded at the Battle of Coruscant counts. Yeah. And then I guess you could also, I mean, if you're going to count a main ship that explodes at the beginning of the prequel of episode 3, then it would be the Invisible Hand, Grievous's ship. Or I guess, it's Grievous's. I was gonna say it was Dooku's, but it was Grievous's.
Yep.
Dooku just happened to be on board. That we'll save that talk for episode 3 talk, though. But yeah. No ship explosion. Now I'm thinking of like common openings for like, anyways, yeah. Episode 2 is a fun film.
Yeah.
You might have actually talked me up a little bit on my score.
If you take it for what it is, it's a fun film.
Yeah. If you take it for what it is, it will also put you through things, though, because let's not forget Shmi.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised this isn't the one that got the PG-13. This one's still PG. This is when all Star Wars films were PG still.
I don't think my parents explained a lot about the Shmi stuff because they were like,
he's not ready for that.
He's not ready for that. I was like, oh, they kidnapped his mom? Oh yeah, go kill them. Like, today.
Well, it's also worse when you realize the implications.
You understand the implications of it, yeah.
Because you understand the implications that George was trying to leave towards what the Tuskens did to Shmi. And you're just, like, as an adult, you're kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it's even worse when you realize what the Tuskens represent as a culture. And it's like, ugh. Especially now that we've had Book and Boba Fett and Mandalorian to kind of like expand on that and be like, no, Tuskens generally aren't like that.
They don't do that usually.
So it's just like, ugh. Yeah. Shmi scene is rough.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you kind of empathize with Anakin, but you also are like, oh, Anakin.
You got them all.
You went a little far.
You got them all.
I think people also misunderstand the scene with him and Padme after that, when he's explaining, like, what happened. Because a lot of people are like, they think she is being sympathetic, when really she's just being empathetic to his, like, no, yeah, just sympathetic. Sorry. They think she's being empathetic when she's sympathetic. Like, she doesn't exactly know where he's coming from, but understands that he's hurt. And so a lot of people are like, oh, why is she comforting him when he just admitted to, like, this entire manslaughter, right? Like, this entire genocide, essentially, that he committed. And it's just like, that's not when she comforts him. In fact, she is standing at distance when he's talking about that. She keeps her space during that. Like, if you rewatch that scene, she is not stepping near him when he's talking about that. It's only when he breaks down and realizes that he realizes he made a mistake.
Yeah, like, he's like, it's not the Jedi way, I shouldn't have done that.
That's when she goes to comfort him.
He's like, I am supposed to be a Jedi, and all of the stuff I've been talking with her about, I just completely threw that out the window 2 hours ago.
Yeah. And so, like, once he starts to sound apologetic about what he did, that's when she goes in to comfort him. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like, did you kind of notice that on rewatch?
It will, once again, looking both, like, objectively and with a weird mix of if I had never seen this before and also at the time. It's one of those things where I was like, I don't... Like, after... It's one of those... Mm-hmm. Now that I'm done with all of the, like... From Anakin's point of view, it's like, fuck, what am I doing?
It's the guilty conscience immediately. It's like,
oh, that was a fucked up thing I did. I've thrown aside everything that I've tried to uphold.
And it kind of proves the point.
Just by coming here. Mm-hmm. And then I doubled down on it. Also, the scene with Watto where I'm 90% sure Anakin would have killed him if he hadn't started talking sooner.
And if Padme wasn't, like, there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Tatooine is not great for Anakin.
Tatooine sucks.
He should not ever go. Like, Anakin does not need to be going there.
Once these prequels are over, for never fucking going back there again.
But then he does. Wait till you read the 2015 Vader and comics, because then he does.
Like sand getting in my fucking respirator.
Yeah, and so it's definitely a situation of people are trying to like blame Padme for falling in love with Anakin, but you can kind of see why she did, even if I don't entirely like obviously the approach Anakin took was very toxic. But you can kind of see why Padme would, because like there are good things about Anakin. The problem is,
I'm gonna say something that may or may not be controversial. I think Anakin would do a lot better if he wasn't a Jedi.
I think he also needs therapy.
Yeah, that too.
Get that brother in therapy.
That too.
Because he's got anger issues. Because that's the underlying issue, right? Like his anger and how he lets it control him. Because even then, that's what happened with the Tusken situation. His anger manifested, and instead of any other solution to it, right? He said, I'm gonna go with the anger and follow what it says, which is kill everybody. Not the healthiest outlet. Let's just controversial opinion, I know. Killing people, unhealthy. But
yeah, it's real bad for their health.
Well, I meant also like for you as the individual doing it. Yeah, I know, controversial opinion, to kill people, it's an unhealthy thing to do. But yeah, like, because we see that that's what controlled the situation, and then he goes back, is still angry because he's still letting it fuel him, even at his mom's funeral, where honestly he lets his anger get to him more than like his actual care for his mother during that funeral too. Like, he is angry, and it's no longer at the Tuskens. He is now redirecting the anger, because he redirects it to himself, because he starts to like blame himself for not being able to save her. And that's also another issue that he has, is that he kind of has this, while the Jedi do have high hopes for him, I don't think they put him on the pedestal that he puts himself on. He tends to put people on pedestals. That's another thing. He tends to put people higher up than they need to be, and that's an Anakin issue. That's an issue that he has to resolve, that he never does. And otherwise we don't get Vader. But he does put people, including himself, onto this pedestal, whether that's from an actual narrative that he's being fed or not. The content that we have, at least in canon, implies that it's not, because a lot of people are like, yeah, he's maybe the chosen one, but nobody like puts him at a higher pedestal because of it. In fact, he gets kind of bullied by some people because of it, more than people going. It's not a Harry Potter situation where everybody's watching him going, oh, he's going to do something great. No, most people are like, we think he might do something great, but we're not going to judge him off that. We're going to judge him off of the abilities that we see.
Yep.
Like that's the Mace Windu logic, right? Mace Windu's like, I see, like going to your, like what you've seen with Mace in this film. He's not studying him from the principle of, oh, he's the chosen one. He's studying from, oh, he's a good Jedi who can do things. And so I think the thing is, Anakin puts himself on the chosen one pedestal, and that kind of like manifests, especially during the funeral for Shmi, where he's like, I should have been here. I should have been faster. I should have been able to save you. It's like, bro, these are things that were not in your, like, you could have never predict, like, even with your visions, you could not predict that this was going to go down the way it did.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other issue, is he's had these nightmares, and so this leads to an issue that we get in episode 3, where he starts to have the Greek tragedy approach to visions. And it's because of this event, and because he doesn't talk to anybody about it, it gets worse.
Yep.
Because the only person he talked, he does talk to somebody about it, but it's the worst person he could have.
Yep.
Because he only tells Palpatine. Because Obi-Wan, I think, figures it out. I think because it was Brotherhood, they talk about that. I think Brotherhood, Obi-Wan mentions that he kind of figured out something went down on Tatooine, but he doesn't get the full narrative.
Yeah. He's like, something happened, because
Right.
Anakin is a lot
Different.
He's not as happy or excited as he used to be.
And, like, I know your mom's dead. Like, I think they know that Shmi died, but they don't know all the circumstances.
They don't know the details.
So, like, I think Palpatine and Padme are the only ones who truly know what went down.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's Palpatine he's relying on to be his mentor during this situation, obviously, in retrospect, not good. Whereas it should have been an Obi-Wan or even a Mace. I think Mace would have been... I think he would have been more sympathetic than people would have given him for that moment. If Anakin had gone to Mace about it. Or if, like we talked about before, if he talked to Yoda and told him everything, no details left out. When you
ask the question...
How you phrase the question is how you're going to get the answer.
Yeah.
If you leave out details, you're not going to get an honest answer. So, yeah. Any other big things we're leaving out of episode 2 talk? I think we've got, like...
No, I think we've covered...
first time, chronologically, C-3PO and R2 are just entirely buddy cop now.
Yep.
Like, they are just on... Because episode 1, we get their introduction to each other, but it's very much a cute little in passing of, oh, my parts are showing. And so that's about it. And then here we actually get...
Later on, God... You know, you talk a lot for a mechanic.
But this is the first time we truly get the in-depth, like, C-3PO, R2-D2 relationship that we're used to as fans. Like, this is them making fun of each other and doing silly stuff, and C-3PO getting into trouble on his own but blaming R2 for it. This is what we want from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so I really love the C-3PO battle droid stuff.
Oh dear.
Die, you Jedi dogs. What? What did I just say?
C-3PO's repressed internal thoughts coming out for a second. I'm quite beside myself.
Such a good line. I still love it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I think we talked about all the major highlights. I love the Jango Fett, like, Camino fight.
Yeah.
I love that Obi-Wan doesn't really use his lightsaber much during that fight.
He fucking drop kicks him. Jango tries to fly away, and Obi-Wan drop kicks him for it. I don't think Obi-Wan ever takes a single swing with
he tries to get his lightsaber, but that's the one time where Jango does use his little grappling hook to stop Obi-Wan from getting it.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I repressed that he didn't do that to Mace, and you were like, oh, he should have done that to Mace, because I was like, wait, didn't he? No, it's the Obi-Wan fight.
Yep. Also, the fact that Jango drags Obi-Wan through the water is fucking, apologies, hilarious.
God, it's
such a chaotic fight, but it's so great because of it.
Also, Jocasta Nu being a know-it-all.
Yeah.
If it's not in the...
It's not in the archives, it doesn't
exist.
That's not how it works.
Archives get updated all the fucking time. What do you mean? That's how libraries work.
Jocasta, you know this.
You're the head librarian.
You know motherfuckers bring books in and out of here every day.
And then bring new information that you then input into the archives. That's like saying, well, we've discovered everything.
What?
No.
Oh, yeah.
That's not how discovery works. There's always more to be discovered.
That's not how this works, Jocasta.
It is. And then, of course, we know who deleted the archives now. But, of course, that was an interesting mystery back then. Like, who could have done this? And then as you watch the movie, you're like, oh, it was most likely Dooku. But they never call it out in the film. You're just left to interpret it that way. And of course, now with Tales of the Jedi, we now can confirm, yes, it was Dooku who used his Jedi Master status to come into the library and delete it, and then so that makes, I mean, so that it's another mystery that that film developed, and I thought did well. So yeah, are you gonna have me give my score first, or did you?
You can if you want.
I'll let you.
I'm thinking 9 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. That's high praise.
It's a good movie.
That is Seth's high praise. I will give it an 8. I was gonna give it a 7 because that's generally how I normally think of Attack of the Clones. But as we got more and more talking about it, and the fact that I could talk about this film, like, we talked about this film for an hour. The fact that we could probably still talk about it for another hour if we didn't have things to do today, that shows that this film is fun and worth talking about. So I will give it an 8 because, like, a bad film you cannot talk about for an hour like this. Like, having fun talking about it too. Like, we're cracking up, we're like having a good time just reflecting on it. Whereas a bad film, maybe you could do 30 minutes if it's like a boring bad film. But if it's a good bad film, then you could probably, like, if it's a fun bad film, you could probably do about this.
It's a cinematic masterpiece.
Are you still upset I haven't shown Britt that?
No, I'm okay with it. I'm also okay with the fact that I don't know if it's because I've seen the episodes of Supernatural or I just play a bunch of Monster Hunters that I'm guessing lines before they happen. What, you guys some kind of private investigator? Something like that.
I guess I'll explain the context as we do our outro, because that is actually all that we're going to talk about this week. Thank you, everybody, for watching today's episode of Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I've been your host, Caleb. Be sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe to us. You can find us at Escape Reality Films on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok. You can also share your support for us by joining our Patreon, which is at Escape Reality Films. Shout out to Jennifer Brantley. Also, be sure to... There you can watch our YouTube content before it's publicly available, including this being the last podcast you'll be able to watch ahead of time. Because, once again, this is the last episode that we're pre-recording. We should be going back to live episodes next week, unless something happens with the schedule that I've got going.
In which case, you may be retroactively proven as a liar.
And also, that means not only to the audience, but also to the D&D groups in the Discord. But there you can also be sure. Speaking of, you should join our Discord, which is also linked wherever you are watching, so you can become a part of our community and listen in to our D&D games, which should be back during the week after when this episode airs. So Friday we should be trying to do a game. It seems like from the look, not the Friday obviously when we're recording this, but the Friday after this is aired. We should be having a game for Grim Hollow. From the looks of things, at least, because it looks like you and Steve have at least said yes. I haven't seen Chris answer yet, but and of course we've unfortunately lost Ethan, but
he's a busy guy.
But also it's because of good reasons. Ethan got a promotion at work, which hey, good on him. If you're gonna miss D&D, at least it's because you're doing well. So you can't be mad there. And then Sunday, it looks like maybe a Ravenloft game. We'll be starting the first ever Ravenloft Girlies game. I haven't come up with a better name yet. I also haven't gotten the poster for that or for the next acquisitions yet. So, but I have an idea for the acquisitions one. I don't have an idea for Ravenloft yet. But we're not getting acquisitions that Sunday yet because of schedule. Sounds like acquisitions won't come back till July. And then Ravenloft's going to get the Sundays that acquisitions aren't on. So anytime there's not an acquisitions game, there's still going to be a game on Sundays. It's going to be the Ravenloft game. Hopefully. Can't confirm yet because Ravenloft, they haven't sent in their votes yet as of when we're recording this as to whether or not they want to play yet. Especially because 2 of the players out of the 3 just got done moving because they I think they officially married and now they're just now moving. So moving in together. So like it's chaotic. It's chaotic. So congrats to them on everything going there. But yeah, so, and also on to explain what he was talking about, also in the Discord on Thursdays we do a TV/movie night. Me and my friend Britt, we take turns of being in charge. I'm making her go through Highlander, and she's now making me go through Supernatural. We've watched the first 10 episodes of Supernatural. Well, we've watched 9 out of the 10. I'm still gonna have fighting words about that. We skipped an episode because it wasn't lore important, and she didn't like that episode. But we did make her go back for like a 5-minute scene because it has somebody from Highlander in it. But she was like, "We went back for that." I'm like, "Yes," because he's important in Highlander later. Because she hasn't met that character in Highlander yet either. But yeah, so this week we're doing. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be Supernatural. When this is coming out, it's today. We're doing Highlander, continuing our season 1 journey with them in Paris now.
Woo!
Which we talked about last week of why that happens. But yeah. So yeah, more reasons to join the Discord. Come hang out, have a good time, watch TV, listen to D&D. Maybe join. Maybe just interact with the community. It's fun. And then you can also follow me on Twitter at EscapeReality94 and Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Caleb.Lockwood. And speaking of D&D,
you can catch some friends of ours every Sunday afternoon from 5 to 7 Central Standard Time on YouTube at the Steam Dungeon. They're doing okay. They're entering a dungeon. Gonna go. Apparently, there's some rules they have to follow. One of which is don't eat the candy people. Also, be careful when you're flying.
Yeah.
So there's that. A nice little break after all of the revenge, murder stuff that they were dealing with.
Yeah.
But that's about it. If you like it, go check it out.
Yeah. Once again, thank you for watching Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. Next week, we are going back to the High Republic. We got a new book. The High Republic, Temptation of the Force. It's the one everybody's been waiting for. The Elzar and Avar tough scenes. And we've gotten more pictures of Elzar. We've gotten an Elzar Phase 3 look. That the girlies are thirsting over.
Oh, alright.
Because they released some new concept art. I don't think this is it. Oh, no. I gotta find it, but I'll show you later. The girlies are thirsting over it, which makes sense because the romance in the Jedi romance in High Republic has been pretty good. The Elzar Avar of it all. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna talk about next week. So join us then, and I've spoken.
Y'all be safe out there.
Bye.